Breaking news! The Los Angeles Chargers just made a surprising roster move that could shape their depth chart in a big way. This is the kind of under-the-radar signing that might not grab headlines everywhere, but smart fans know it could pay off huge down the line. But before we dive into the latest Chargers news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to ring the bell icon so you never miss breaking updates. Now, let's move on to the story. The Chargers have officially brought rookie wide receiver Luke Grimm back onto the practice squad. Now, why does this matter? Because Grimm isn't just another name filling a roster spot, he flashed real potential on special teams and showed enough upside as a receiver to convince the team he's worth developing. This move signals that the Chargers are hedging their bets at skill positions. Instead of simply stacking extra linemen or depth pieces, they're keeping a versatile rookie who could grow into a bigger role. And honestly, it makes sense. When Jim Harbaugh took over, many expected him to load up on offensive and defensive line talent first. That's still coming, but this decision shows he's also thinking about long-term offensive firepower. Stick around, because in just a moment we'll break down the offensive line outlook and later I'll give you a game-by-game prediction for the Chargers season from an unbiased perspective you won't want to miss. Now here's why this move matters even more. Rookie wideout Luke Grimm isn't just a practice squad filler, he's already proven he can make plays when it counts. Remember that explosive punt return against the Rams in preseason? That was the kind of wake-up-the-crowd moment that instantly puts your name on the radar. And it wasn't just special teams. Grimm has shown flashes as a receiver, too. There was that slick one-handed grab, falling to the ground, still pulling it in clean. Plays like that don't just happen by accident. They show the kind of instincts and hands that coaches love to keep developing. Looking back at his college days, Grimm carved out a reputation as a steady, do-it-all playmaker at Kansas. Over 5 seasons, he hauled in 177 catches for more than 2,500 yards and 23 touchdowns. That's not just solid production, it's consistency. And now, with the Chargers, he's already connected with Justin Herbert in practice, even scoring a red zone touchdown during 7-on-7 drills. That's exactly the kind of chemistry a young receiver needs to earn trust. With Jalen Reagor on IR, the Chargers had to make decisions about depth. Signing Grimm, along with Amari Johnson, shows they aren't just patching holes, they're betting on upside. And Grimm? He's the type of player who could quietly work his way into meaningful snaps if the opportunity comes. Now here's where things get interesting. While the Chargers doubled down on skill positions, they also made a surprising move, releasing Carson Barnhart. That caught some attention because Barnhart had ties to Jim Harbaugh and was part of those strong Michigan offensive lines. Many thought he'd carve out a role here, but instead, the Chargers shifted focus and let him go. At the same time, they brought in help at tackle. The newly acquired lineman immediately slid into the depth chart as the swing tackle, which says a lot about how the coaching staff views the current O-line situation. And let's be real, the offensive line remains a major question mark heading into this season. That's not to say it's all doom and gloom. With the right coaching and development, this group could settle in just fine. But it's also fair to admit the roster wasn't as strong as many fans wanted to believe. Last season was about cleaning up the salary cap and stabilizing the roster. This season, the Chargers clearly went after skill position talent. The next step, the piece they still need to solidify, is building a tougher, deeper offensive line. And the truth is, that's probably going to take another full cycle of roster moves before this unit looks the way Harbaugh ultimately envisions. Here's the reality, you can't rebuild an entire roster in just one offseason. And honestly, that's not what the Chargers are trying to do. The bigger picture here is about building something sustainable, a team that isn't just competitive for a year or two, but one that can contend consistently over the long haul. Yes, every fan wants to win right now. That's natural. But the smart approach is to win while you build. Last season was proof of that. The Chargers stabilized the roster, cleaned up the salary cap, and still made the playoffs. That's not easy to do in the middle of a transition. This year feels like another step forward. The front office and Jim Harbaugh clearly prioritized skill positions first, knowing the offensive line will need another round of upgrades. It's about patience, but also progress, and the Chargers are moving in the right direction. And speaking of moving forward, let's talk about the matchups ahead. Analysts everywhere have been giving their game-by-game predictions, some fair, some flat-out questionable. But let's go through it ourselves, starting with Week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I'll be honest, as much as I like the Chargers' direction, I still see the Chiefs taking this opener. Don't click away just yet, because what comes next might surprise you. Week 1 against the Chiefs may not go the Chargers' way, but don't overlook the circumstances. Friday night, in a different country, opening game energy. That could tilt things slightly in LA's favor, so keep a close eye on that one. Moving into Week 2, it's a Monday night showdown with the Raiders in Las Vegas. Classic rivalry, primetime stage. And while it won't be easy in that hostile environment, I've got the Chargers pulling out a win. Then comes Denver at home, and I'm giving LA the edge there as well. That means the Chargers come out of their first 3 divisional matchups at 2-1, which is exactly what you need to stay in the hunt. After that, it's the Giants, a game I see the Chargers winning, and then the Commanders, which feels like a slip-up spot, so let's mark that down as a loss. That leaves the Chargers at 3-2 through 5 weeks, and honestly, that's not a bad place to be. Here's where the season really starts to swing, the next stretch of games. Dolphins, Colts, Vikings, Titans, Steelers, Jaguars, this is the soft spot in the schedule. If the Chargers are serious contenders, they need to stack wins here. The Colts, Titans, and Jags are all beatable. The Vikings on a short week could be tricky, but still winnable. Miami and Pittsburgh won't roll over, but those are exactly the types of games that separate playoff teams from the rest. Handle business in that stretch, and suddenly you're looking at a record around 7-3 or even 8-3 heading into the final push. And that's when things get really tough. The last part of the schedule brings another Raiders game, the Eagles, the Chiefs again, and a trip to Dallas to face the Cowboys. That's a gauntlet. Then you close with the Texans and finish on the road in Denver, a place that's never easy in December. The path is there. The question is whether this roster is ready to take advantage of it. That mid-season stretch is going to define everything. If the Chargers take care of business there, they'll set themselves up for a playoff run, and that's what makes this season so exciting. The countdown is almost over, Labor Day rolls in, then suddenly it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and before you know it, the opener is here. Football is back, and the Chargers are right in the middle of the action. And before we wrap, keep an eye on a name that might surprise some people, Arand Gadsden. This rookie has quietly been turning heads. He's bigger than most expected, he can block on the edge, and he's shown he can make plays when the ball comes his way. One quick route, a simple turn, and suddenly a short gain turns into 16 yards. That's the kind of effort that earns trust fast. With players like Gadsden and Luke Grimm developing, the Chargers aren't just building a roster for today, they're building one for the future. And that future looks brighter every week. The journey's about to begin, and all eyes will be on how this team rises to the challenge. Buckle up, Chargers football is here.